When it comes to story writing, there are a lot of things to keep in mind. But personally, I have three things that I like to keep in mind and prioritize for every book that I write. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Quinn Buckland, author of such books as The Engine What Runs the World, The 1099th, and my latest, Dead Man Walking. And today, I want to talk about the three things that I prioritize with every book that I write. And that is character, plot, and style. And typically I don't have any sort of real priority as to where each one should be, because certain books need more of one than the other sometimes. There are books that are definitely more character focused, and as such, character will be the primary target, the primary priority. Sometimes a story needs to be more plot focused, and as such, plot will be the primary priority. That said, style is rarely the priority, or very least the top priority when it comes to any book that I write. However, that is not to say that it is not important at all. In fact, I take style and how I write each book to be very important as to how I want to tell the story. Now, typically when I write the majority of my books in third person limited. Primarily because I find the limited structure to be more personal. It gives each scene just that much more levity. And I write in third person for the most part, so I can change perspectives here and there. Supernatural Pizza is one that changes perspectives with a lot of characters. There are a lot of scenes that do not follow the primary three. In fact, hell, Fallen Gods, it can almost be argued that there isn't any real main character because it jumps heads so many times. It jumps perspectives as often as possible to tell the story in a more succinct possible way. Even my first book, The Engine What Runs the World, has a lot of different POVs. Although typically I stuck with the main two of Smoke and Constance in this one. So Smoke is definitely the main character and Constance is main supporting. Fallen Gods doesn't really have much of a main character because it's not the point. It's not supposed to have a main character. It's supposed to have a series of characters that you're supposed to follow and get to feel for. Supernatural Pizza has a whole bunch of POVs, but it mostly follows the main three. And I do like having different POVs throughout the story, mostly due to the sake because it gives a bit more of a rounded experience. One character's experience does not really fit in terms of how a story is to be told. At least, not in my opinion. And if a person's going to write in first person, it kind of needs to fit the style of story that's being written. For example, my latest, Dead Man Walking. This is written in first person present tense. And it's written that way because it's a mystery. You as the reader are discovering things at the same time as the detective. On page, let's pick a random page. On page 68, you know as much as the detective does. You are in his head. You are seeing things as he sees them. And as such, the mystery becomes more compelling, becomes more gripping, because you don't know what's going on, and you know that the detective doesn't know what's going on. The only other book that I wrote in first person was The 1099th. And I wrote that one in first person primarily because I wanted to solely follow the one character. Sandra Leo was supposed to be the only character that was followed, and is the only character that's followed. And to make that work, I had it as a sort of way where she is having her memories being projected onto paper, essentially. Another thing that really needs to be considered, or at least taken into consideration, is subplots. Not every book requires them. And this might be a whole other video sort of topic, but not every video requires a subplot. And as such, say, let's take Dead Man Walking for example. It doesn't have a subplot because the prime focus is the mystery, which in turn makes the first person narrative work all that much more. Whereas The Angel Who Runs the World has a subplot focusing around Constance. And as such, the shifting of POVs kind of is required. Because Smoke is busy. He's focusing on the main plot. But Constance has her own plot going on. She has her own motivations. And with stuff like that, you really do need to take stuff like that into consideration, especially when determining how you're going to write the book, whether you want it to be in first or third person, and if you want it to be in limited or omniscient. I mean, I suppose one of these days I'd like to do a book in second person. That'd be interesting. Might work better as a short story, but whatever. I'm moving on. So with all that said, I do take my style and how I write these books very seriously. But the style wouldn't mean anything if the plot wasn't there, if there wasn't a good plot to form this style around. First person limited is fine and all, but if it doesn't have a compelling plot and a good mystery to go behind it, the style doesn't mean anything. It's like how the mystery doesn't mean anything if the characters don't do anything. If the characters are just flat cardboard cutouts. And I suppose what I'm trying to get at is all three of these priorities that I have intermingle. One cannot exist without the other two. And as such, it creates a more cohesive story. It creates a more cohesive everything, really. It's just a better story and a better book altogether because I like to focus on those three things. Like, there are 100 other things when it comes to writing that I could be focusing on. But making sure that my characters are strong, independent, and are not being led by the story, but are the ones leading the story. And hell, making sure that they have a story to lead. Making sure that they have stuff to do throughout. And numerous pitfalls to trip them up and to hold them back here and there. And being able to tell the story in a way that is enticing to the reader. These three priorities are very important, and these are the three things that honestly just really are the most important aspects of how I write. But anyway, that's all I got for you, so make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all the fun little YouTubey stuff, and as always, keep writing.